What really happened to Kanye West? According to an article published by the Washington Post, Kanye West may have finally reached the point of no return. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. Let's talk about it. As a dominant culture figure of the 21st century, West has been through cycle after cycle of controversy and redemption. His repeated anti-Semitic statements might prove too much to overcome. Soon as you like him, make him unlike you. Ye, the musician and mogul formerly known as Kanye West, rapped these words on 2013's I Am a God, but in some ways, they served as a maximum for his entire career. Musically, the rapper and producer became famous for constantly evolving his style, beholding not to current trends, but his own music. Even if he risked shedding fans along the way, that philosophy extended to his public persona and has largely come to define it. He morphed from a hip-hop super producer to world-conquering rapper. From tabloid stable to fashion world insurgent, from Grammy-nominated gospel artist to MAGA touting presidential candidate, with the one constant that he was always brash, self-aggrandizing, and almost most importantly, the center of attention. Despite countless controversies, Ye has also always been able to maintain his stature as a revered musician and cutting-edge tastemaker. But his standing as a figure in the greater culture has never felt more tenuous than the past 2 weeks, which have featured multiple instances of anti-Semitic statements. Since debuting a White Lives Matter t-shirt at his Paris Fashion Week show in early October, Ye's latest extended public outburst has caused ruptures that may never be repaired. He was briefly booted from Instagram and Twitter for making several anti-Semitic remarks, including one saying he would go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. He appeared in a selectively edited interview with Fox News' Tucker Carlson, during which he ranted against Black Lives Matter and made the bizarre claim that professional child actors had been placed in his home to manipulate his children. He announced he was buying Parler, the right-wing social media site run by the husband of his recent confidante, conservative commentator Candace Owens. It's been the culmination of yet another very public spiral for Ye, who had spent much of the summer posting angry comments and threats on Instagram against his ex-wife Kim Kardashian, Vogue editor Gabrielle Carifa Johnson, who had called his t-shirts pure violence, and the comedian Pete Davidson. The corporate partnership that helped Ye ascend to billionaire status are diminishing on a seemingly daily basis. On Tuesday morning, Adidas announced that it would stop working with him, putting an end to the lucrative Yeezy line of sneakers that became a cultural phenomenon. Adidas does not tolerate anti-Semitism and any other sort of hate speech. After a thorough review, the company has taken the decision to terminate the partnership with Ye immediately, and production of Yeezy-branded products, and stop all payments to Ye and his companies. The company said in a statement, adding that Adidas will stop the Adidas Yeezy business with immediate effect. It's a decision with major implications for Adidas, with Yeezy generating an estimated $2 billion a year, close to 10% of the company's annual revenue. Morningstar analyst David Schwartz said last week, this name may be hard to pronounce, so I'll spell it, Balenciaga. I'll give it a go. Last week, Balenciaga announced that it was severing ties with Ye, who opened the opulent fashion house's 2022 show. The brand's creative director, Dima, had become one of Ye's allies in the fashion world, partnering with Ye on his Gap clothing line and the massive rollout of Ye's Grammy-nominated album, Donna. In September, Ye abruptly terminated his deal with the Gap. This week, his longtime talent agency, CAA, announced it was no longer working with Ye after his latest remarks. Kim Kardashian rebuked her ex and the father of her 4 children on Monday, tweeting, "Hate speech is never okay or inexcusable. I stand together with the Jewish community and call on the terrible violence and hateful rhetoric towards them to come to an immediate end. I'm exhausted to the point where I'm like, maybe it's just time to move on. He's unpredictable in a way that I can't gauge. So it's not worth it," said Panama Jackson, comments for the Gyro, who now counts himself as a former Ye fan. "It's hard for me to say I'm not a fan, but I think the person I'm a fan of doesn't exist anymore." Since he popped up into the national consciousness with his 2004 debut album, Ye has been not just one of the central figures in American entertainment culture, but a defining character in the digital age's attention economy. He's become his own weather system, which follows a fairly predictable cycle. He basks in the culture's adoration, then loses it by saying or doing something outrageous or downright offensive, then digs his heels in and makes things worse while fans attempt to excuse his behavior. Eventually, he finds some way to make a comeback, be it via apologizing or releasing a game-changing album. But the cycle has taken increasingly volatile and dark turns. When he stormed the stage at the VMAs in 2009, President Barack Obama called Yeezy a jackass. His statements over the past few weeks have him now labeled an anti-Semite. The culture's adoration is shrinking, and he's not much for apologies these days. And for what feels truly like the first time, he's shedding fans in addition to key business partners. "I don't understand why it took people so long to get to this place. Where have they been?" asked political commentator Keith Boykin, who had to scroll back through his Twitter feed to figure out just when he broke with Ye. Was it around time he told TMZ that slavery was a choice? The Trump White House rant before that? There's so much stuff he said. This is the thing about Kanye. He wants all this attention. The moment Ye arguably learned how to garner attention outside of his music arrived in 2005, 4 days after Hurricane Katrina destroyed New Orleans and much of the surrounding Gulf Coast. 3 days after he released his sophomore album, Late Registration, standing next to a comedian, Mike Myers, on a live telethon carried by all major networks, Ye went off script and blurted out, "George Bush doesn't care about black people." The incident made Ye something of a liberal hero, but it was never a status he sought nor one that particularly fit. While his earlier work sometimes veered toward social consciousness, with lyrics critical of racial profiling by law enforcement and the drug war, he was never aligned with a political party. Ye's primary allegiance was always to himself. If the Katrina moment brought Ye fully into the public eye, it was in 2009 that he became inescapable. At that year's MTV's Music Mini Awards, 19-year-old Taylor Swift climbed on stage to accept the prize for Female Vocal of the Year. Ye disagreed with this turn of events and donning sunglasses, climbed on stage, grabbed a microphone and said, "Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce's have one of the best videos of all time." By the time he handed the mic back to a confused Swift, everything had changed. Suddenly, Ye was public enemy number one. Celebrities including Kelly Clarkson, Russell Brand, and Katy Perry excoriated him, along with Obama. Former President Jimmy Carter weighed in, calling it completely uncalled for. Ye had the nation's attention, but for the first time, he didn't seem to like it. "I'm just ashamed that my hurt caused someone else's hurt," he tearfully said on NBC's The Jay Leno Show, after Leno asked how his late mother, Donna, would have felt about his antics. Donna West, a professor who championed his career, was particularly close to Ye, and the depth of their relationship is shown in charming scenes from the recent Netflix documentary, Ye Yuns. Ye debuted the song Hey Mama I want to scream so loud for you cause I'm so proud of you. On Oprah's daytime talk show with Donna Preston in 2005. Her 2007 death after a cosmetic surgery operation is often cited as the moment Ye became unmoored. Ye promised to disappear from the spotlight for a while to analyze how I'm going to make it through the rest of this life. He opted for Oahu, Hawaii, where he got to work on his sprawling magnum opus, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. By the time it came out in November 2010, his image was well on its way to rehabilitation, but the album sped things up immeasurably. A star-studded affair featuring the likes of Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, John Legend, and Elton John. Twisted Fantasy was a cultural sensation and remains one of the most acclaimed albums of the year. The quick return to prominence didn't surprise people who knew him growing up, like Terry Parker, who raps under the name Juicy, and knew Ye as he became an emerging force in the Chicago hip-hop scene. Ye was always bright, intensely competitive, and brilliant. People would overlook the annoying things he'd say because he wanted his beats, Parker said. Ye undeniably, talent had always been thick enough to smooth over some of his qualities that could rub people the wrong way. Parker saw it as a sort of unfiltered honesty, the kind that would later earn Ye a reputation as a provocateur and a troll. Not coming with the filter made him as honest as he could be. He didn't worry about repercussions. He would say something and then just deal with the scattered ashes, Parker added. His talent served as armor and justification for his behavior. So goes the thinking. He's a musical genius who repeatedly changed the course of modern pop music. And all geniuses are all a little crazy, right? Boykin doesn't buy it. The phrase is used to exonerate people of other social responsibility. It's a way of excusing their inappropriate behavior. He said, adding that fans of R. Kelly use the same horrific, but that's not enough. You can't be inspiring people on one day and then the next day talking about how much you love Trump and preaching anti-blackness. This is going to be a two-part video here. I'll be back tomorrow night with part 2. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never quit.